Title: The Thirsty Reflection. The silence of the forest was a heavy cloak, broken only by the ghostly whisper of dry leaves under my feet. I had ventured too far, following a forgotten path that promised, according to local legend, a wishing well. A dry well, I had been warned, but with a particular magic for those brave enough, or foolish enough, to seek it out. Curiosity, that old and persistent enemy, had dragged me there. Finally, I found it. It wasn't the imposing monument I imagined, but a dark and discreet mouth in the ground, surrounded by moss-covered stones. The air around it was cold, almost palpable, an icy warning I deliberately ignored. I knelt at the edge, my heart pounding with a mixture of fear and anticipation. The well was, indeed, dry. But not empty. At the bottom, the darkness was absolute, a starless abyss that absorbed the light. I leaned in a little more, searching for some vestige of the rumored magic. Then, I saw it. A face. Reflected in the unfathomable depths, a pale miniature moon. It was my face, but there was something terribly, fundamentally wrong. The eyes were too bright, almost feverish, and the smile that played at the corner of its lips was cold, predatory. I blinked, believing it was an illusion, a trick of the light and shadows. But the face was still there, watching me with an intensity that made me recoil instinctively. A childish voice, sweet and honeyed, emerged from the well, breaking the oppressive silence. "Do you want to play?" The air turned even colder, and the fear, before a tickle on the back of my neck, became an icy fist clenching my heart. I tried to get up, but my legs felt heavy, as if they were rooted to the ground. The face in the well smiled even wider, and the voice, still childish, became more insistent. "Come play. It's fun down here." I knew I had to get away. Every fiber of my being screamed to escape that cursed place. But I was paralyzed, fascinated by the grotesque image of my reflection. The voice repeated its invitation once more, but this time, something had changed. The childish sweetness vanished, replaced by a guttural growl that seemed to rise from the depths of the earth. "Come play." And then, the distortion. The face that reflected me was disfigured, the skin cracking like dry clay, the eyes bloodshot, the mouth opening into a grotesque grimace full of sharp teeth. It was no longer my reflection. It was something else, something monstrous that dwelled in the darkness. An infernal roar emanated from the well, a sound that made the ground tremble beneath my feet. I felt an invisible force pulling me towards the abyss, and relentless pressure that dragged me into the darkness. I fought with all my strength, trying to cling to the earth, to life. My fingers dug into the damp soil, desperately seeking a foothold. But the force was too great. I was being dragged towards the well, the deformed face getting closer and closer, the promise of an eternal nightmare etched into its features. In a final act of desperation, I closed my eyes and screamed, a primal cry of terror that echoed through the forest. When I opened my eyes, the face had disappeared. The well was dark and silent once more. But the feeling of terror was still present, a lingering chill that ran down my spine. I got up, trembling, my legs wobbly, my body covered in cold sweat. I ran like never before, without looking back, without caring where I was going, only with the overwhelming need to get away from that cursed place. I returned to civilization, but the horror of the well haunted me. I slept with the lights on, terrified of seeing my own reflection in the dark. One day, while I was shaving, I stopped in front of the mirror. I looked at my face, searching for any sign of the monstrosity I had seen in the well. It looked normal. Too normal. Then, I heard it. A whisper, barely audible, but unmistakable. "Do you want to play?" I turned sharply, searching for the source of the voice. But I was alone. The whisper repeated, louder this time, coming from the mirror. Slowly, my reflection smiled. It wasn't my smile. It was the cold and predatory smile that I had seen in the well. Terror washed over me again, deeper, more visceral than ever before. I stepped back, tripping over the rug, falling to the floor. My reflection in the mirror moved. Not like a normal reflection. It moved on its own, with a will of its own, independent of my actions. It reached out a hand towards me, a pale and bony hand, with long, sharp nails. "You are already playing," my reflection whispered, the voice distorted into an infernal roar. The hand touched me. An icy cold ran through my body, paralyzing me. The room darkened, and I felt myself sinking, dragged into the unfathomable depths of the darkness. And then, silence. But not a peaceful silence. An oppressive silence, filled with the promise of eternal horror. Somewhere, in the darkness, a child asks, "Do you want to play?" And the nightmare begins again. The well waits. The reflection thirsty for revenge also. His cry will resonate forever in the dark.